All right, diving right in today, and this one's for you specifically.
Well, that sounds intriguing.
It is. You requested Atomic Habits by James Clear, right? A practical guide to building better habits, breaking bad ones, all that good stuff.
Yep, a classic. Lots to unpack there.
For sure, and we know you're all about hitting your full potential, so that's our mission today, extracting the real gems from Atomic Habits.
No fluff, just the aha moments. Love it.
Exactly. And you know, what's cool about this book, it's not all just rah-rah motivation. Clear actually gets scientific about it.
Right. Breaks down the mechanics of habit formation, makes it feel very achievable, even those tiny 1% improvements.
Yeah, I mean, we hear 1% better each day, and it's easy to brush it off, but
Deceptive, right? Sounds small.
totally. But then, boom, Clear hits you with the math. 1% better every day for a year, you're 37 times better.
Whoa, that puts it in perspective.
Doesn't it? Imagine applying that to your writing. You, in a year, where could you be?
That's the power of compounding those tiny actions snowballing over time.
And the flip side, right? 1% worse each day, you're back at practically zero. Suddenly, those little choices feel a lot heavier.
Huge emphasis on consistency. That's key. More than intensity, even.
And this is where Clear throws us a curveball, right? We're always told, set goals, set goals, set goals.
Goal setting, the holy grail, supposedly.
Well, Clear's like, hold up, systems are the real MVP. Forget the finish line, it's about the daily routine.
Because, let's face it, goals, they can be kind of fleeting. You hit the goal, then what? Back to square one.
Exactly, that yo-yo effect. Think New Year's resolutions, all gung-ho for a few weeks, then
Gone. Instead, Clear asks, what if we focused on building the identity of someone who already embodies those habits?
ooh, I like that. Not just checking things off a list, but becoming the kind of person who naturally does those things.
Yeah, those great examples. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. It's about who you are.
Powerful stuff. Not about running a marathon, but becoming a runner.
Shifts the focus, right? From the outcome to the process itself, makes the journey more meaningful.
Totally reframes the whole self-improvement game, and this is where his 4 laws of behavior change come in.
Like a framework, right? Tools to hack our own habits.
Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying.
And each one has a flip side, a way to break bad habits, too.
Okay, let's break them down, starting with make it obvious. Clear talks about this, well, kind of quirky technique, pointing and calling.
Pointing and calling.
Yeah, it's a Japanese railway thing. Conductors literally point at things, call out commands, to increase awareness.
Sounds a bit out there, but I guess it makes sense. Reduces errors.
And Clear suggests we do something similar with our habits, this habit scorecard, writing down every single one.
Wow, that's thorough. Everything from brushing your teeth to, let's be honest, scrolling social media before bed.
Exactly. Becoming detectives of our own behavior, bringing those unconscious patterns to light, then we can make changes.
Shining a spotlight on those autopilot moments, suddenly that mindless snacking isn't so mindless anymore.
And you start to see the cues, the triggers, that's where implementation intentions come in.
Right, not just I'm going to exercise more, but being specific, when, where.
I will walk for 30 minutes at 7 a.m. in the park. Boom, decision made, no more willpower drain.
I like that. Removes the decision fatigue.
And then there's environmental design. Want to play guitar more? Put it right in the middle of the living room. Can't miss it.
Visual cues as triggers, and the flip side, breaking bad habits. Make the cues less obvious, hide the junk food, put the phone away.
Create an environment that supports the behaviors you want. It's brilliant.
Make it obvious is all about awareness, knowing your cues, designing your surroundings.
Exactly. And now for the fun part, make it attractive. Tapping into that brain reward system, dopamine, here we come.
Oh yeah, gotta love that dopamine hit.
And we can use it, right? Remember temptation bundling? Okay, gotta do these expense reports, but afterwards I get to watch that new show.
Genius, suddenly expense reports don't seem so bad.
You pair something you need to do with something you want to do. Positive association with the less fun task.
It's like a little bribe for your brain.
Totally. And Clear also talks about social influence. We naturally imitate people we admire, friends, groups we belong to.
You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, or so they say.
Right. So if you want to build a habit, surround yourself with people who already embody it.
Want to get fit? Join a gym, find a workout buddy. Their behavior becomes yours, in a good way, hopefully.
Because like positive peer pressure creates a feedback loop. Seeing others doing the thing makes it feel more normal, attainable.
Totally. And then there's the idea of joining a culture where your desired behavior is the norm.
Oh, yeah, like a running club, you're expected to run. Meditation group, you meditate, the group's values become yours.
Makes sense. Built-in accountability, shared goals, you're all in it together.
And then there's this mindset shift, reframing from I have to I get to.
Instead of, ugh, I have to go to the gym, it's, I get to move my body, improve my health.
Subtle but powerful, appreciating the opportunity, focusing on the positive.
So we've got make it obvious and make it attractive. Now for make it easy, my personal favorite, I think.
I get it. Who doesn't love easy, right? This is all about removing those obstacles, simplifying those good habits.
Reduce the friction, Clear says. The easier it is to do, the more likely you are to do it.
Like when you want to cook a healthy meal but nothing's prepped, takeout suddenly seems way more appealing.
Oh, for sure. So prep your meals, lay out your workout clothes, keep a book by your bed. Those little things make a big difference.
Remove those points of friction that derail our best intentions. Sometimes it's that simple.
And tech can help too. Automating good habits, making bad ones harder, automatic savings, bill pay, even website blockers.
Make good behaviors the default, love it, and then there's the 2-minute rule. Break it down.
Ah, yes, the 2-minute rule. Such a good one.
Instead of meditating for 30 minutes, start with 1 minute instead of a whole chapter. Write 1 paragraph.
Makes it doable, right? Can't say no to 1 minute. Build that momentum, the sense of accomplishment from just showing up consistently.
Okay, we've got obvious, attractive, easy. Now the grand finale. Make it satisfying. Reward time.
Gotta love a good reward. Makes it all worthwhile.
Right. Clear says we repeat behaviors when they're followed by a positive experience. Makes sense. We like pleasure, avoid pain.
It's basic wiring. Eat something delicious, listen to a good song. Dopamine hits, brain says, more of that, please.
Exactly. And we can hack that, especially in a world so focused on delayed gratification, right? Work now, enjoy later.
So true. But for building habits, those immediate rewards, they really pack a punch.
Remember that study with the kids in Pakistan, more likely to wash their hands with soap that lathered well and smelled nice?
Simple, but it worked. That sensory reward made it appealing.
So how do we make our own habits more satisfying? Clear has a few ideas.
Lay 'em on me.
Visual cues to track progress, habit tracker, calendar, checklist. Just mark it off. There's something about seeing it.
Oh yeah, that visual reminder. It's like proof you're doing it, sticking with it.
And it feels good, right? Then there's creating your own loyalty program. Reward yourself for those good habits.
I'm listening.
Say you're trying to save money. Each time you resist that impulse buy, transfer that money to a savings account, labeled for something you really want.
Ooh, I like that. Make avoidance satisfying. You're actively working towards something.
Exactly. And finally, celebrate those wins, even the small ones. Acknowledge them, pat yourself on the back, share with an accountability partner.
It's all about making the process enjoyable, rewarding, right? We've covered a lot, these 4 laws of behavior change. Pretty powerful stuff.
By making good habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, and bad habits the opposite, we can really make some progress.
It's like understanding the rule book of your brain, then using it to your advantage. But remember, it's not a one-time thing, building habits.
It's a journey, right? There will be slip-ups, misdays, those moments when you want to give up.
Oh, for sure. We all have them.
But the key is, don't let those setbacks derail you. Remember Clear's rule. Never miss twice.
Get back on track, keep moving forward. And speaking of moving forward, that brings us to this idea of continuous improvement. So continuous improvement, it makes me think about plateaus. Even with good habits, it's easy to hit that wall.
Oh yeah, totally. You're cruising along, making progress, and then bam, you hit a slump. It's like, ugh, is this even working?
It can be super discouraging, putting in the effort, but not seeing those big results you were hoping for.
For sure. What's the deal with that?
Clear calls it the plateau of latent potential. Those small improvements are happening, but beneath the surface.
Beneath the surface, huh?
Yeah, like a glacier, you don't see much movement, then suddenly the whole landscape changes. Is those tiny shifts adding up?
Okay, so how do we keep going when we're in that in-between zone, when it feels like we're stuck?
Patience. Gotta have patience. Clear is all about the long game, that slow, steady progress.
I can be a little impatient, I'll admit.
He uses this analogy, melting an ice cube. You apply heat, nothing seems to happen, then boom, it transforms.
Makes sense, those consistent efforts, even when they feel small, they're building something.
It's not about overnight success. It's about trusting the process, knowing that those actions will pay off.
Trust the process. I like that. But it's hard sometimes,
I hear you. And that's why reflection is so important. Checking in, asking, is this habit still working for me?
Not just setting it and forgetting it, right?
Exactly. Is there a way to tweak my approach, optimize my system,
Right.
It's like fine-tuning an engine. Got to make those adjustments to keep things running smoothly.
So it's not just about forming the habit, but constantly evolving it, refining it,
And Clear actually suggests scheduling time for reflection. Could be weekly, monthly, even just a few minutes each day.
like a habit for your habits. Interesting.
Assess your progress, identify areas for improvement, create a system for continuous growth, and then there's the Goldilocks rule.
Oh, yeah, the Goldilocks rule. Got to find that just right spot.
Exactly. Habits need to be challenging enough to keep us engaged, but not so tough that they become overwhelming.
Too easy, gets boring, too hard, we give up. It's that balance.
Clear says aim for tasks about 4% beyond your current abilities. That sweet spot where you're stretching yourself just enough.
Like playing a video game. Too easy, you're bored, too hard, you rage quit. But that perfect level of challenge, you're hooked.
Totally. It keeps you coming back for more, wanting to learn, to improve.
Okay, so how do we find that Goldilocks zone for our habits where it's challenging but not overwhelming?
It takes some experimenting, some self-awareness, pay attention to your energy, how you're feeling.
Like if I'm bored with my workout routine, maybe it's time to switch things up, add some intensity.
Exactly. Increase the distance, try a new class, challenge yourself.
And if I'm feeling super stressed, maybe I need to simplify things, break a habit down into smaller steps.
Right. It's about finding that balance, that sweet spot where the habit feels good, where it motivates you, not stresses you out.
I think so many of us get stuck in that good enough zone, especially once a habit becomes automatic.
We get comfortable, complacent, but the Goldilocks rule reminds us there's always room to grow, to push ourselves a little further.
Always a new challenge to embrace. Love it. And, this whole conversation is making me think about how our personalities, even our genetics, might play a role in this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Clear talks about that, how our natural inclinations can make certain habits easier or harder.
So it's not just about willpower, but understanding ourselves, working with our natural tendencies.
He gives the example of conscientiousness. People high in that trait. They tend to be organized, disciplined, make sticking to routines easier.
So if you're naturally a planner, maybe meal prepping, scheduling workouts, that comes more naturally to you.
Right? And if you're super social, maybe habits involving others, like joining the group fitness class, that's your jam.
This is fascinating. It's like instead of fighting against our nature, we can use it to our advantage.
Absolutely. Find those habits that align with your strengths, where it feels almost effortless. And then there's accountability, the habit contract.
A habit contract. Okay, tell me more about this.
It's like a written agreement with yourself. You state your commitment to the habit and the consequences if you don't follow through.
Interesting. So it's not just a mental thing, you're putting it down on paper.
And you get an accountability partner, someone to sign off on it, witness your commitment.
So there's a social element to it, like knowing someone's watching can be a powerful motivator.
It adds a layer of responsibility. We care what others think. But it's not just about punishment. Your accountability partner can also be a source of support, encouragement.
Oh yeah, celebrating those wins together, offering a pep talk when you're feeling discouraged, like having a cheerleader and a coach all in one.
And it brings us to this idea of understanding the downside of success.
Wait, the downside of success, what do you mean? How can success be bad?
Well, habits, they can lead to complacency. When something becomes automatic, we stop paying attention, start making mistakes.
Like when you've been driving the same route for years and you suddenly realize, wait, how did I even get here?
Exactly. You were on autopilot, not fully engaged. That's why reflection is so important, even for those well-established habits.
Got to stay conscious, keep evaluating, making adjustments, even when things are going well.
Clear talks about Pat Riley, the basketball coach. He used a system called Career Best Effort, tracked his players' performance, challenged them to improve by 1% each season.
Wow, so even at the pro level, it's about that constant striving, that commitment to getting better, even when you're already at the top of your game.
It's not about reaching a certain level and coasting. It's that continuous pursuit of excellence, always pushing the boundaries.
Okay, so we've got patience, reflection, the Goldilocks rule, understanding our natural tendencies, the power of accountability.
It's a lot, but it all comes back to this core idea. Continuous improvement. It's not about perfection. It's about progress.
This has been so insightful, but there's one piece I'm still curious about, this connection between habits and identity that feels really powerful.
It is. It gets to the heart of lasting change. Because as Claire says, our habits, they're not just things we do, they're expressions of who we believe we are.
And yeah, this link between habits and identity, it's definitely got my wheels turning.
It's a game changer. really gets to the core of lasting change. Because Clear's argument is that our habits, they're expressions of our identity.
Hmm. Okay, so it's deeper than just I do this every day. It's tied to who we believe we are.
Right. They're not just actions, but reflections of our self-image. So, like, if you have a habit of, let's say, procrastinating,
Oh, ouch. Hitting a little close to home there.
well, the idea is that habit might reinforce a belief. Maybe you start to see yourself as someone who isn't great with time management.
So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. My habits shape my beliefs, and then those beliefs shape my future actions.
Exactly, a feedback loop. And that's why Clear says real change, lasting change, starts with an identity shift.
Not just changing what you do, but changing what you believe about yourself, huh?
It's the foundation. And it's not easy. I mean, you can't just snap your fingers and decide to believe something different.
For sure, it's got to be more than just wishful thinking.
Right. So Clear suggests a two-pronged approach. First, focus on those small wins, tiny victories that support the identity you're aiming for.
So even small actions can build up that new self-image. Like, if I want to be a writer, just writing a paragraph a day is a step in that direction.
Exactly. It's evidence, proof that you are that person. And those small wins, they accumulate. Your belief in yourself starts to grow.
Momentum builds. Okay, I'm with you so far. What's the second part of the approach?
The second part, it's about acting in alignment with your desired identity, even when you don't necessarily feel it yet.
So a little bit of fake it till you make it, but for your own self-belief.
More like act as if, stepping into the role, embodying that person you want to become, your actions start to shape your beliefs.
Interesting. So it's about bridging that gap between who you are and who you want to be, taking those small steps to get there.
And Clear emphasizes it doesn't have to be this grand, perfect version of yourself. Keep your identity flexible.
Flexible, how so?
Define yourself in a way that allows you to adapt, to grow, even if your specific role or circumstances change.
So instead of I'm a marathon runner, which might feel limiting, it's I'm the type of person who loves pushing my physical limits.
There you go. Now your identity is tied to those core values, those motivations, not a specific outcome.
This is really making me think about all the times I've limited myself because I was clinging to a certain identity, afraid to step outside of that box.
It's easy to get stuck, but the good news is our identities, they're not set in stone. They're fluid, adaptable.
We can change, evolve. Awesome. This whole conversation has been a serious eye-opener, reevaluating my own habits, the beliefs behind them.
That's the power of Atomic Habits. It goes beyond just tips and tricks. It's about understanding ourselves, taking control of our lives.
And that's what this deep dive has been all about, understanding how habits work, how they shape who we are, and how we can use them to create the future we want.
Those small changes, the 1% improvements, those seemingly insignificant shifts in our identity, they have a ripple effect.
It's that compound interest, but for self-improvement.
Exactly. So choose your habits wisely, my friend. Watch how they transform not just your actions, but your beliefs about yourself.
And enjoy the journey. That's key. All right, that's a wrap on Atomic Habits. Thanks for diving in with us and